All right, this is Unit 5, so we're going to look at the data unit, which is where we did like mean, median, mode, those kinds of things, the different types of graphs, and then we did the scatter plots with the line of best fit and the curve of best fit. So this will review all of what you need, including the steps on the calculator. So we're going to start off just reviewing the basic vocabulary. So median is the middle number when the numbers are placed in order. The first or lower quartile, that's the middle of the bottom half. The upper, which is also the third quartile, is the middle of the top half, and then the maximum would be the highest value in your data, and then the minimum would be the lowest value in your data. So looking at our example, Sam's quiz scores are 97, 83, 92, blah, 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 blah. Find the median. So I'm going to start off, first thing we have to do is put them in order. So it looks like 48 comes first, and then 58, then 65, 77, so we've gotten those. Then it looks like 80, 83, 88, so we have those. 92, 93, and 97. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 numbers. All right. If we have 10 numbers, the middle is going to be right between the 5th and 6th score. So since there isn't a middle number, we're going to take the middle or the average of those, which between 80 and 83, there's 3. Half of that's 1.5. So the median is going to be 81.5. The lower quartile is the middle of the bottom half, so that's 65. The upper quartile is the middle of the top half, which is 92. The maximum number is 97, and the minimum is 48. All right, moving on to some more vocabulary. Range is the highest to the lowest, so that tells you like how many points difference between the highest grade and the lowest grade. The interquartile range is the difference between the two quartiles, the first quartile and the third quartile. An outlier, that's anything that's 1.5 times the interquartile range past the interquartile range. So a lot of times it's easier to see that on a box plot. And then the MAD is the average of the absolute value, which is the distance that each score is from the average. So it's on average how far each value is from the average. So using the scores from above, we are asked to find the interquartile range, any outliers, and the MAD. So the interquartile range is going to be the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So we're going to do 92 minus 65, and that looks like it is 27. All right, to find outliers, we're going to take the interquartile range, which is 27. We're going to multiply it by 1.5. And, you know, I don't know who decided this, but somebody decided that the outliers would be based on 1.5, which is 150% of the amount of the interquartile range. So if we take 1.5 times, 27 is 1 time, and then half of 27 is 13.5. So that would be 40.5. So then what we're going to do is look at our two numbers that we had here. So if we take our upper quartile and stretch it out 40.5, then that means adding that on to that. So that would be 132.5, and we don't have any scores above that. On the low side, we would take this 65 and subtract, because we're going to go down lower by 40.5. So if we subtracted 40, that would be 25, so this would be 24.5. And we don't have any scores that are lower than that, or higher than the 132.5. So are there any outliers? The answer is no. And those right there are the boundaries that we use to find the outliers. All right, the MAD, what we need to do is first average our scores together and then figure out how far each point is from those scores. And then we will average those answers. So the first thing we need to do is find the average of our scores. So I'm going to add them all up. I probably should have already had an answer for you. 92, 93, 97. All right, so I got 781. There's 10 scores, so the average is 78.1. All right, so first thing we have to do is find the average of our scores. And now what we need to do is take that number and figure out the difference between that and each score. So we have 30.1 when the score is 48. We have 20.1 when the score is 58. When we subtract 65, that's going to be 13.1. When we subtract 77, that's going to be 1.1. When we subtract with 80, that's going to be 1.9. When we subtract with 83, that should be 4.9. When we subtract with 88, that should be 9.9. I hope I'm doing that all right. When we subtract from 92, we should end up with 13.9. 93 would be 14.9. And 97 should be 18.9. So that tells me the distance that the scores are from the average, which was 78.1. So now what we need to do is average all these together. So that's just adding them all up. And we should have like some music playing or something to entertain you while we type all this in. I'd sing, but okay. For the total of that, I got 128.8. Divide that by 10, and that says that on average, his test scores are almost 13 points away from his average test score, which was a 78. So we could even say 13 points, it's 12.88. But so I would say that the MAD is 12.9. So he has a pretty big MAD, which means that his test scores fluctuate quite a bit. All right, next one, we're going to do this one just because it still uses the same information. We're going to look at a box plot, and basically all we do is we take the 5-number summary, which is the 5 numbers from example number 1, and we do the box plot. So what we're going to do is the minimum is a 48. So if we, whoops, that was a terrible line. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I got to fix that. Okay. Try this again. All right, that's better. All right, so I'm going to put 48 down here. His highest grade was a 97, which goes up there. The median is an 81, so if we think about how this would work, we could say 90, 80, 70, 60, 50. So 81 might somewhere be over here. So that's the median. The lower quartile is a 65, which might be down here. The upper quartile is a 92, which maybe is somewhere up here. So his box plot looks like that, and then there are the whiskers. So his box plot shows that half of his scores are right in here, which that's pretty good. So that's between a 65 and a 92. His median score was almost at an 82. So that's the upper quartile, that's the lower quartile, that's the maximum over here, and this is the minimum down there.